Welcome into Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts with CPA and personal financial specialist Phil Putney. Now let's get rolling with today's show. Welcome into another edition of Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts, and it's time to, do this one for your retirement.
There you go.
And the reason I say that is because we're talking about golf. So kind of
it's that time of year.
Fore.
Yeah.
What golf can teach us about financial planning? It's that time of the year, right? We're anxious to get back out and do some playing. So why not use that as a fun analogy to talk about financials, right?
Yeah. No, there are a lot of people on the courses here in Michigan, depending on the day. So
definitely going on here too as well. So depending on the day, and it's it's a fairly warm day, I'm going to get out there, and then the next day it's miserable. So it's spring, right?
It's spring. It's spring.
What it is. Are you a golfer? First of all, do you?
I am. I mean, not as serious as I used to be.
I'm a duffer.
There's a good way to put it. I'm a duffer. I don't take myself too serious on it. I played in the league for a while and realized right then it's okay. You're either serious and mad all the time, or you just, hey, it is what it is. This is a game. I'm out there to have fun and, walk and get some exercise and have the good company of other guys and, just have a good time. So
some folks get a little too worked up about it. You're not trying out for the PGA. And if you are, you should be right. So I got a couple of stories I want to share, and I got three bigger topics that I want to kind of run through, just kind of analogies, fun little analogies to kind of tie this into financials and financial planning. So we're going to start with hitting a hole in one. Yeah. First of all, have you ever been lucky enough to get one?
Putt, yes.
Not in putt. No.
Not in putt. Okay.
No,
I have not.
Okay. Me neither. But I was playing I was in a foursome that was playing that a gentleman got one.
Okay. Cool.
On a par three.
Okay.
But still, it's pretty awesome to see. So it was me and another guy about my age at the time, and I want to say we were in our late 30s, and then it was this gentleman and his wife, and they were probably in their late 60s or early 70s.
Oh wow!
I'm pretty sure she was in her early 70s.
Cool.
And he popped up a great shot. And it hit the green, and it rolled. I want to say it was like the third hole of the course too. We're playing 18.
That's a peach, son.
And it rolled into the cup, and I mean, we were all high-fiving him, and everybody was very excited. And I watched this gentleman who I didn't know, but I watched his demeanor from the first two holes, from the third hole through the rest of the game, change.
Oh yeah,
his chest came out.
I can do this. This is
Yeah, he had it figured out, right? He had it on lock for that day.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
Well, his wife, again, she's in her 70s, tiny little thing, and she's just, nice and simple little swing, straight. She's only hitting him 125, 140 yards, but down the center every stinking time.
Yep.
At the end of the day, who do you think won?
Oh, yeah, the wife did for sure.
She did. She creamed all of us. She destroyed us because she was steady Eddie, and she was doing the tried and true things. And he figured out and got cocky that a hole in one was sexy. And
I got this.
And he got this. And I feel like that's a great lesson for financial life, right? We maybe get lucky in an investment or something, and it's like, I got this. I figured it out. And
this isn't that hard. Come on.
And it's just, you're setting yourself, it's super sexy.
A caveman could do this.
Right. It's sexy and fun, but it's just not.
Right.
It can be detrimental, I think. So what do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things you've got to be very careful. If you get lucky, and at the end of the day, a lot of times that's what it comes down to, right? It's luck. And unless you're following specifically a strategy, that's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
But the reality is a lot of the financial decisions that investors make are going to be more, they got lucky. It was the right time, right investment. And it just, boom, they hit it just right, which is awesome. I'm glad that happens. But just like golf, be very, very careful with that because, it can give you too much confidence and chances are you're not going to do that again, or it may be a long time and a lot of ups and downs and pain in the middle before you see something again like that. So,
well, and think about our investment strategies through the last 12, 13 years with the great bull run we had, right?
Right.
So maybe people closing in on retirement knew they had too much at risk,
right?
But they just couldn't turn it off because 20 was a good return year.
Oh, this is great. Let's keep going.
Year,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's 19 was a good return year. Like you can't turn it off. And then you didn't pare back your risk, and then you happened, right? And you lost maybe 20, 25%.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that happens more often than not, right? I mean, you get overconfident. Yeah. It's what we call that recency bias, because it just happened last year. I mean, this has been, this is how it works, right? You get really comfortable with it.
Well, it'll keep going. Yeah.
And all of a sudden it changes. And that's where hopefully an advisor can help give some advice, some light on it to say, look, this isn't reality long-term,
Right.
We don't know when, but this is not how markets react long-term.
Yep.
We go through ebbs and flows. We've been riding this wave for a long time. It's going to at some point return. So yeah.
And we're in a lull now. We're in some really choppy stuff there. So I guess that was really kind of the lesson I wanted to extract for all of us golfers and also all of us financial risk takers out there, to say, hey, it's great to have that feeling, and it's certainly awesome, but be careful. Phil and I, we talk about this all the time on the show, and Bitcoin is probably the one where people over the last couple of years have been feeling like that. This is where I'm going to get that hole in one, right?
Right.
And you see all the jokes and the memes. Hey, I'm a Bitcoin millionaire today. And then the next day I'm eating noodles because I'm Bitcoin broke, right?
Yeah. So I mean, penny
careful.
Stocks are kind of the same thing. I've had clients in the past that have invested in penny stocks on their own. And I can remember one specifically that she came to me and she was up, hundreds of percents, just crazy numbers.
Wow.
And we talked about, you probably should take some of that off the table. Well, the next time we got back together, it was all gone, crashed right down to nothing again. So it's you got to be really careful. You're going to hit some home runs here and there,
right?
At some point, but you're going to probably have a lot of bumps and bruises along the way to get there. So
that's the risk analogy, I think, that works really well with getting that hole in one. So
generally not a good retirement strategy, right? I mean, it's just back to your golfing story. That's a great story. I mean, you hear it in baseball all the time, right? Singles and doubles is what it comes down to.
Right.
That's how the game gets won. The same thing here. Golf gets won, retirement gets won by hitting it down a straight and narrow. Have a plan. Yep. Figure what you're trying to do and stay on that line and keep moving in the right direction. Don't get distracted by these crazy things going on.
She destroyed us, Phil. I mean, she absolutely crushed us because she was straight down the pipe every time. She'd lay it up. She'd probably often she one putted, maybe two putted. And, I'm hitting it 300 yards, but I'm way over here. And,
you're coming back. Yeah, it's exactly.
Just, and then I'm three putting. And so she just creamed us. And I always remember it was a really nice analogy for a lot of things in life, that sometimes my wife is a steady Eddie. I'm a risk taker. Yeah. And she's like, I think a great relationship, one person needs to kind of be the dreamer and the risk taker, and one person needs to kind of be that steady Eddie.
Yep. It helps balance each other out.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's go to number 2, clubs in your golf bag. And this again, it's another great analogy to think about the different kinds of clubs. There's so many, even if you buy like a kit, like a preset little golf thing, you've got some different ones. Yeah. And I would joke and say, unless you're Happy Gilmore.
Hey, it's all in. Come on. Work with me now. It's all in the head. Yeah, it's all in the head.
So you have all these clubs for a reason, to help you do different things. And that's just like our investments. You have multiples for a reason.
Right. Yeah. In our previous podcast, we were talking about different types of accounts, So I mean, same kind of thing here, clubs in a bag. I mean, there's different strategies, different accounts, different vehicles to use at different stages of retirement in your plan. I mean, the whole key to all of it is have a plan first. I mean, same thing. You might have all these clubs in your bag, but you're going to use different clubs in that bag depending on the course, right? I mean, if you go to a par 3, well, it's going to be a pretty limited number of clubs versus, some other course, so it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. What does that plan look like?
Well, Phil, think about that, where I just said the kind of Happy Gilmore joke there, where you've got he only played with a driver and a putter, right? Well, many people look at the investment world that way. I don't know how many times you run into people, they think, and it's the market or cash. That's all, like cash in the bank. Like that's all they think.
That's the only thing that's out there. Yeah.
Right. And the rest of, the 2-iron, the 3-iron, the 4, the 5, 6, 7, all of that, could be things like maybe an annuity, or maybe rental property, or maybe cash value life insurance policy, whatever the case.
Yeah, there's a lot of different vehicles to potentially use, but you first have to step back and understand, what are we trying to accomplish? What is my risk? How does all this fit in now? And now let's look at investments. And that's our process, frankly, is let's build the blueprint first. Let's map it out, make sure we have a plan. Now that we have that, now we can go look at investments and see what fits that plan and your risk tolerance.
Yeah.
Too often people go the other direction and start gathering and collecting all these different financial vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's like going to your golf bag and pulling out 5 or 6 clubs and throwing them in the car and going to the golf course. And it's like, okay, I got, the putter, the 2-wedge, the driver, these different things. It's like, well, but I don't have the 5-iron. I really need a 5-iron, but I didn't bring it with me.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't fit at this scenario because you just grabbed a bunch of stuff and now you're trying to play with what golf clubs are in your hand.
Yeah.
Have a strategy. Understand, what are you trying to accomplish? Forget the whole investment side of it first. Have the plan first, then look at the investment world and say, okay, what fits?
Yeah, that's great. And you think about the collector, right? It's like, oh, well, this pitching wedge is really going to help me versus my other pitching wedge. And then they came out with this brand new, really high-tech, super interesting wedge that's going to make my other 2 pitching wedges obsolete. And it's like, you're just collecting pitching wedges at this point, right?
Yep. And at the end of the day, one probably works just as good as the other one.
Yeah, get better at the...
It's all advertising.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. We get sold on things.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And we're going to do a little shorter podcast this week because we went a little long last week, but let's go to the next one. Have you ever had the opportunity to use a caddy?
I have not.
Hey, where you going with those clubs, punk?
Mr. Gilmore, I'm your caddy.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. No. Let me carry these, all right? They're my grandfather's. They're pretty old.
It's pretty amazing. So where I'm at, and we've shared before with the listeners that I used to live in Michigan, and I don't live in Michigan anymore. But I'm pretty close to Pinehurst, where the U.S. Open is going to be being played next year, actually.
Sure. And
I've been down to the Big Daddy down there. It's pretty impressive, right? And so it's wild and they're so. The caddies are fantastic, man. It's amazing. If you ever get a chance to play with one, it's pretty wild. Especially if you're not good, it's actually embarrassing. So luckily,
you're just going to go pick a club.
Luckily, I was along for the ride with a person who was good and was using a caddy. So I just got to witness it. But it's still pretty amazing.
Sure.
Just the insights. They know the course. They know the lie. And even if they don't, they're really able to kind of break it down because they're trained and so used to doing that. And again, you can't make a better analogy for what you do, Phil, because it's easier for you to look at the lie and look at you really need a 7-iron here, right? And you're going to want to kind of, pop this one up and kind of angle down versus a low drive, all those kinds of little things that can really go into it. That's what you guys do as professionals with financials because you've been doing this for, decades.
Yeah, and that's the advantage of using the advisors. Similar concept is this isn't our first rodeo, so to speak, right? Or better not be. Hopefully, if the advisor you're working with, golf course. Yeah, that's right. I mean, we do this every day in and day out. So we've seen how all these different pieces work together. We understand risk. We understand how to get it positioned. All the different components that might fit into it. Versus the typical investor. I mean, this is maybe their first time around doing this, or even if they've been doing it themselves, self-managing a 401k, that's great.
Even if they're doing a great job.
And strategies and concepts and even what's available in that segment of saving for retirement is completely different when you get to the segment of retirement of now spending the money, right?
I mean, accumulation
totally it's totally different. Strategies change, investment vehicles, not all change, but how you use them changes. I mean, it's a different game completely. Yeah.
And the caddy for this guy was very invested in helping this guy have a good round.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, when the guy made a bad shot, he was like, well, we'll get him on the next one kind of thing. Right.
I was going to say
he had some objectivity, right? So whereas the guy wanted to break his club sometimes, the caddy's like, now,
Yeah.
and again, the same kind of thing. You're able to be totally invested and care about the outcome of your clients.
Oh, success, absolutely.
But you have the objectivity to go, hey, I know that one that didn't go well, but let's not break the club,
Right. Yeah, we're not as emotionally invested. It's not our money, but I mean, I treat it like it's my money, and that I'm not going to make recommendations to you that I wouldn't be doing myself. Yeah. But my scenario is different than yours. So it doesn't mean that I'm doing exactly what you're doing, but I've walked with other clients doing what you're doing, and here's the options and how it works. And yeah, it doesn't work right every single time. I mean, that's just not realistic, right? We're going to have these ups and downs and ebbs and flows, and you've got to have a strategy of how you're going to work through these. And that's where a good advisor can help you do that. Walk you off the ledge, so to speak, to say, hey, this, we're okay.
Yeah.
This is, in our case, that's later money. We've got time to ride through this. We've hedged against this, we're doing fine, so yeah, it's great analogy using the caddy. And they can give that unbiased advice of here's the pros and cons and options, help listen for sure. I mean, you don't want to go in and say, I quit that, quit crying like a baby. Let's go. No, I mean, you understand, hey, this is your money, man. It's hard.
Right.
Let's talk through it. You're going to be okay. Let's do this. Make some adjustments. We're on track. We're right there with you.
Yep.
So,
I mean, it's easy. I mean, sports, it just works really well as analogies and metaphors for so many things in life in general. And I think that's one reason why so many people do love sport in general, whatever sport it might be. Mm-hmm. And so golf certainly can find some great lessons and some great parallels. And it's funny that it seems to be the game of retirement, right? It's like golf. Although pickleball is really challenging.
I was going to say, it's starting to come up there now. So
pickleball is really challenging. So maybe we'll have to do pickleball.
Yeah, we'll have to do some pickleball.
I don't know enough about it, so we'll have to learn more about it. Or at least I will. But anyway, you get the idea. So, again, if you're a golfer and if you're doing, financials, hopefully this kind of resonated a little bit. You had a little fun with this episode. And you can see that it's important really to have the right clubs in the bag. It's important to have the right caddy, the right person, maybe the golf swing coach or whatever it might be to help you kind of get to and through your journey on the golf course. And in this case, that's retirement.
Retirement,
yeah. So if you need some help, reach out to Phil as always. He's here to help you. But please don't take any action on anything here from any podcast or any TV show or anything else, just like ours, unless you talk to a qualified professional about your unique scenario. Because we can talk in generalities, which is what we do every week. But at the end of the day, right, Phil, it's all about the specifics.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and you're going to be on Social Security. I'm going to be on Social Security. How we're going to take it's going to, be
totally different strategy depending on lifestyles and life expectancies and need. And there's so many factors that go into all of it. So
there's universalisms that affect us all when it comes to retirement, but then individually, you got to sit down with a qualified pro like Phil. So reach out to him, philstaxhacks.com. That's philstaxhacks.com to get yourself some time with Phil. Check out past episodes, check out future episodes by subscribing on Apple or Google or Spotify or YouTube. And again, it'll link back to his main account if you'd like to schedule some time to chat with him. So, and the number's on the screen for those watching. And of course, if you're not watching, you're checking this out on audio, it's 248-888-7530. Phil, thanks, my friend. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You have a good day, and maybe we'll get on the golf course here soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
starting to warm up.
There you go. We'll see you next time here on Phil's Tax Hacks and other retirement facts.
Investment advisory services offered through AFS Wealth Management. The content of this program is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. Investments and/or investment strategies involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment strategy will achieve its objectives.